Hello there, my single viewer. So that, folks, is important. Right, where are we? Good afternoon, folks. Indy Truck Davey out the truck and at home in his office in Salisbury, North Lanarkshire, where it is a beautiful morning and 7 degrees. Not bad for the time of year. Anyway, that's the weather forecast for Salisbury, North Lanarkshire. You want to know what the weather's like where you are? Look at your rain, bloody windy. Alright, I did say I'd pop on every now and again to do the odd box pop when something came up that the mainstream media probably wasn't bringing to your attention. I have to thank my good friend Glenn Sinclair for putting me onto this one. But if you read the title, it tells you that Transparency International has released their latest Corruption Perception Index. Now, if you don't know who Transparency International is, they work in over 100 countries exposing government corruption and corrupt regimes. And one of the 100-odd countries that they look into is the United Kingdom. Now, believe it or not, folks, because the mainstream media is not going to tell you, out of those 100 countries, the UK has rocketed up the charts since the Tories came to power in 2012 to number 18, the 18th most corrupt regime on the planet at this point in time. Now, the survey is released every 2 years. This latest one covers a period, every 3 years, sorry. This latest one covers the period of 2019 to 2023. And in that period of time, the UK went from being the 23rd most corrupt nation in that index to the 18th most corrupt nation in that index, the Corruption Perception Index. Now, what's that all about? Well, that's how other countries see your country. Now, the way the countries are scored, it's scored from 1 to 100. 1 being the least corrupt, or 0 being the least corrupt, and up the scale to 100 to the most corrupt. The UK scored in the latest index 73. Think about that. Only 27 points are totally corrupt. Now, the UK, from 2019 to 22, as I say, rocketed up that chart to number 18. And guess who was in power during that period? Bojo the Clown. Now, in the Corruption Perception Index are all the details of what makes the UK the 18th most corrupt regime on the planet. Because basically they're looking at it. And that, by the way, the UK is being ranked aside places like Oman, Qatar, Myanmar, and Uzbekistan. That's how corrupt the regime is. Now, in the Corruption Perception Index, it flags up the PPE scandal, the VIP lane scandal, over 40 breaches of the ministerial code since 2019 by the government, criminality in government, insider trading, using public office for personal gain, vote rigging by hiding how much they're spending for the Electoral Commission, with over 30 Tory seats being won by an overspend on advertising the Tories. The UK is right up there, but the mainstream media is not going to tell you that, folks, so Fox Pop. As I say, the corruption is oozing down the walls in the House of Thieves and Carpetbaggers. I know you know why I call it the House of Thieves and Carpetbaggers. because I was aware of the poll in 2016 to 19, where the UK was placed as 23rd most corrupt country on the planet. Now it's the 18th. In 3 years of Bojo and his criminal cabal, the UK has become even more corrupt. It was already corrupt. We know that. We've had lobbying scandals, we've had cash for questions scandals, we've had a misuse of ministerial cards, all sorts. But that's the wee stuff. The big stuff's the stuff we're talking about, like Rishi Sunak and his hedge fund investing £1 billion in shares in Moderna, who make the vaccine, and then ordering Moderna vaccines for the UK public. That's insider trading. Liz Truss and her crash the market wheeze. Well, a lot of the market traders here in the UK knew what was coming. They knew what she was going to do, because this is think tank stuff. And what the think tank who controls Liz Truss wanted her to do was public knowledge, and that allowed traders to bet against the UK economy. It's as bent as it gets, folks. It also, as I say, goes into the lack of democracy in the UK. Now, if you want to read the contents of that report, you'll get it in Transparency International's website. It's called the Corruption Perception Index. And it'll take you through all the countries in it, how they were ranked, and they'll give examples of the corruption that they've been ranked on. Well, isn't that interesting? So, when it comes to being a rogue state, a corrupt state, with a corrupt government, stealing for the public purse, the UK is up there at number 18. Mind-boggling. Aye, sorry to hear about Sheldon passing away, I know. He was a bra mascot, fine beast, chain will be hurting. So, that's the Davy shot, folks. The mainstream media is not going to tell you about the Corruption Perception Index and Transparency International. But the information they put out about our own governments every 3 years is vital information for us as a people, or peoples in this case, because they monitor what our government's stealing for us. And where do they get their information from? They go and ask the bloody governments and the officials in office, businessmen, people who would be involved in bribing government ministers, like Robert Jenrick and the housing scheme in London, where the guy that used to own a newspaper wanted to build a development, and his development was passed the day before a new tax law came in, which would have meant they had to stomp up 40 million quid to the local council. That sort of stuff. So, that's the shot. As I say, I haven't disappeared. Most of it a bit of hair, but I haven't disappeared. And when some other study or report comes up that I think is vital information to get out to you guys, then I'll do another one of these. The general stuff, David and I will do it on the Monday and Thursday show. But as I say, when we get this stuff in, I want to thank Gwen for it, for sending me a clip that led me to the report. Thanks to others, that's very generous of you. As I say, Gwen put me onto a clip on TikTok which led me to the report, and I've been reading it for the last couple of days, to be honest with you. So I thought the day was the day to let you know what I've discovered. So when I call it the House of Thieves and Carpetbaggers, I'm absolutely correct. When we call it a criminal cabal, according to Transparency International and the Corruption Perception Index, it's true. Okay. Now, eyes on the prize, folks. I've put the How You Gonnies video on my timeline again. It was sent to me by Stephen, So I'll put it back for those who want to talk about the how you goinies when it comes to independence, how you going to do this, how you going to do that. The answers are in the video on my timeline if you just want to pop out and have a look. Okay, now look after yourselves. David and I will be back more afternoon at 4 o'clock for the two Davies. We've got a side project on the go now in collaboration with somebody else, and hopefully we can bring it to fruition. That'll be interesting for access and stuff like this. Okay, you guys look after yourselves. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a nice day.